I'm a bit of a cryptocurrency trader and or degenerate gambler, you could call me. In a week or two, I can swing six figures easily.
So you don't have any other job?
I worked jobs on and off for short periods of time in my 20s, but when I kind of got a taste for big wins, kind of ruins the way I valued, a dollar.
Interesting. Hello?
Hey, Lyle, how's it going, man?
What's up? Is this Max?
This is.
What is happening with you?
Well, when I first dialed in, I was down $30,000 on the day. I'm a bit of a cryptocurrency trader and or degenerate gambler, you could call me. And I'm now only down $10,000 on the day. So since I've been on hold for an hour, I've gotten $20,000 of today's losses back.
All right, so to kind of, I'm not 100% sure what you just said, but lifetime, where are we at?
In casino gambling, I'm down millions of dollars. With cryptocurrency and investing, I'm up a good amount.
What's a good amount?
2 to 3 million in the last year. Before that, maybe half that.
All right, so you're
Only
currently
30.
sitting on. All right, so you're currently sitting on like $2 million.
Yeah, I have about 2 to 3 million. It's in cryptocurrency, but I day trade, and sometimes in a week or two, I can swing six figures easily, maybe more.
The day trading doesn't make sense to me because don't you have to pay, like, every time you sell off, don't you have to pay taxes?
No, you don't. With cryptocurrency, it's kind of like uncharted waters and a bit of a gray area. You can trade into these other assets that represent, the U.S. dollar, but that are not actual U.S. dollars. They're called stable coins.
Gambling is an interesting addiction to me. I'm excited to talk to you. All right, so you were doing the casino.
I've been gambling forever. I'm 34 years old. When I was 15 years old, I bought a blackjack table from a friend's older brother, and I was dealing like in the movie Boiler Room. Remember that actor? I forget his name, but I was dealing out of my house in high school, making a few $100s every week from friends.
And how long? You said you're a professional at this, so you don't have it. So you don't have any other job.
No other job.
How long have you not had any other job?
I worked jobs on and off for short periods of time in my 20s, but when I kind of got a taste for big wins, it's kind of ruins the way I valued, a dollar. It can disgust some people the way I look at money. Kind of look at money just as units, seeking to acquire more of these units. So totally disconnected emotionally from the value of a dollar to most people.
Interesting. Okay. So with that being said, you look at money as units and you're totally disconnected to the value of a dollar. Tell me, what do you do with money? Do you spend any money?
I do. I have a girlfriend who I live with, and I treat her to things, and we go on trips, and it's nice. One of the benefits of this lifestyle is being totally free, time-wise, to do whatever I want. But it can also be like a double-edged sword, and I can get so involved in these markets that I forget to enjoy life, even though I have the freedom to go do whatever I want, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes total sense, right? Because would you, I want to hear it from you, and not necessarily me putting words in your mouth, but would you consider yourself like a gambling addict?
Yeah, I would consider myself a savage addict in general, but and I used to use drugs, but I'm 34 now. I haven't in about half a decade. Whatever I find stimuli, I become addicted to it. But that's been as way far back as I can remember, since I was, under 10 years old.
Right. See, it's interesting to me because you... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying my whatever stimuli or phase that I go through, although gambling is now two plus decades, different forms of gambling for 2+ decades, I'm just an addict. I'm always searching for the next stimuli.
It's interesting to me because, you have, millions of dollars, which frees you from the chains of like a 9-to-5 job, which, a lot of people need to be able to pay for fucking eating food and drinking water and living. But you are still chained to the markets. So even though you have freedom in some areas, you're debilitated by a mental hold in other areas, which is an interesting predicament.
No, absolutely. I'll give you an example. And my priorities are so out of whack. Here's an example. Like, if I have to go do something for someone else or for myself or travel somewhere, or I'm chronically tardy and I have no concept of time, and other people think that I'm either lazy or don't care, and maybe they're right. But for example, if I have like trades in and overnight trades, cryptocurrency trades 24 hours a day, right? The market never stops for crypto. I will literally, I'm biologically programmed with an alarm system to wake up several points throughout each night, like as in wake up at 3 a.m., check on these 4 positions, adjust if needed, wake back up at 5 a.m. But if I need to get up for like a job or to do something that's quote unquote responsible or non-related to these addiction, this lifestyle or profession or addiction, whichever one you want to call it, then I have no care and can't wake up and will sleep through alarms, and my priorities are all out of whack.
And you say it's been like this for years, like since you were 15.
For as long as I can remember. Yeah, I mean, I see twice a week. I have like a 1 hour FaceTime with a renowned like addiction specialist therapist based out of New York City. We do it on FaceTime since COVID, but he helps me in ways, but I feel like I'm unhelpable in many ways. It's just like learning. It's the nature of my beast, if that makes sense.
So tell me about these FaceTime sessions you have with this guy. What kinds of things does he tell you?
We end up talking about the markets for about half of every session or longer. That's usually an inevitable outcome of almost every session. But I mean, we try to focus on reminding me to stay grounded with things like physical exercise, focusing, time and energy and attention on my girlfriend who I neglect sometimes because of, my profession.
And have you told this guy that you FaceTime with, have you told him, your position about how you feel unhelpable? And if you have, what does he say in response to that?
Yeah, I mean, he commends me on the progress that I've made, but sometimes I think he's giving me too much of the cup half full. I guess I'm 34 now. My 20s were a little bit more chaotic, like in and out of casino. I have crazy stories about like living in Las Vegas for 2 years, comped like 300 out of 365 days in Las Vegas casinos, and crazy stories, just living life in a fast lane that sometimes outsiders think it seems like it would be fun to live like that, but I promise you it's not. So I think he kind of commends me for, all right, now I have my office in my house with my girlfriend, and I've evolved to some extent. So it's not like I'm running around the world in and out of casinos like I used to when I played poker for a living and did other things.
Well, that makes sense to me that he would commend you for that because, you were at this point that you're describing that's very bad, and you're 34 now. I don't know how many years ago this was, but you are on if you take that time and you take this time, you are on a upward trajectory toward, I guess you could call it a healing or toward being in a less fucked up, crazy state. So it makes sense that you're on the upward trajectory.
Yeah. And back then I would mix in hardcore drugs. P.S. I would mix in hardcore drugs to my lifestyle and existence back then, which it's been at least 5 or 6 years since I've dabbled in that realm.
What is the lowest point that you've been at, you would say?
The lowest point was I'm trying to think, maybe getting arrested in Las Vegas for a fraudulent charge on a hotel room under the influence of meth. I think that might be a low.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got from there to now you have the house and the girlfriend, and you sound like
And no drugs.
you sound like you're still doing a lot of kind of crazy stuff, but that at least you are living a somewhat normal life around it. And you're not doing drugs
no
anymore.
drugs. Nicotine is the only drug. The vape is the only thing I'm kind of a physical substance I'm still addicted to.
Yeah. Tell me about your girlfriend. How'd you meet her?
I met her in Las Vegas, and I kid you not, around the time of that low that I just referred to, she had come to visit me in Las Vegas. I had a friend of mine fly her and his girlfriend, who's her best friend, out to Las Vegas to meet me. And I'd been in Las Vegas for 8 months when they came to meet me. And do you remember in the Matrix movie? I can't remember which one it was, but Neo and all of them are in the Nebuchadnezzar. They're in the ship in like the scorched futuristic world with all the robots control. And they're on that ship of just like the ruined Earth. And the ship kind of comes up out of the clouds, and like it's freeze framed really slow on like Neo and Trinity. And they're above the scorched clouds, and they see like heaven and everything like is like beautiful above the scorched clouds. And it's just like a 5-10 seconds, and then the ship crashes back down. Do you remember that scene in the Matrix? Ship goes back into the clouds, down into the scorched earth. That was kind of like my girlfriend's 1 week visit to come see me in Las Vegas. That her meeting her on that 1 week trip was like this breath of reality and fresh air. And then when she left after visiting that week, I went back down into the figurative chaos and the scorched, ruined earth of Las Vegas.
And so with that in mind, like, to this day, doesn't sound like you're in Vegas anymore and you don't do casino gambling, but you do all this crypto stuff. To this day, does she still kind of represent that for you, like a bit of calm in the storm?
Yeah. I'm forever grateful to her to like seeing something in me back then, 5 years ago. Yeah.
And what's your relationship like with her now?
It's good, bad, and ugly, but probably more good than bad and ugly.
Mm-hmm. What does she do?
She works for Trader Joe's.
Okay, cool. And what is her sort of thoughts and feelings about what's going on with you?
I think she tries. Sometimes there's periods of that are better than others, but I think it's hard for her to argue with results when things are going really well, and financially we're in a sound place. I think that, but I think she wants me to spend more time with her.
Yeah,
and care for her in ways that I sometimes am lacking.
Well, it's an interesting point you make just now. And you sound like you're you've been dealing with this for 20 years. So you sound like you're very self-aware about the sort of mental ins and outs surrounding this whole thing because you've been everywhere mentally with it. But when you say it's hard for her to argue when things are going well, and again, you've probably heard this before, but what exactly is the barometer of things going well? Is it always like, if we're winning a bunch of money, does that inherently mean that things are going well?
No. I think things are going better when I take a break and we go play golf or go out to eat or go on a trip, and I take time. I think I'm happier when I take time away from it, but it's always in the back of my head, and it's always one phone pull away to be right back in it. I guess that's the quandary or conundrum that I'm in these days. Is not that I'm in these hyper aggressive, risky situations that I used to be in regarding my aforementioned time spent in Vegas and other places and on drugs. But nowadays I could kind of pull out the destructive, time consuming behavior, and it's all on my smartphone, one pull of the phone away, if that makes sense. And it's trying to balance.
Interesting. So that's a very interesting point you make, because with the casinos, it's like if you're away from Vegas, if you're in let's say it says you're in New York. So if you're in New York and you're away from Vegas, you're away from the casinos. I mean, I guess there's online gambling and all that different shit, but it sounds like this shit has evolved.
I don't do that. I don't do the online gambling, but go ahead, sorry.
But it sounds like this shit has evolved to even if it used to be, with the casinos, if you weren't around it, it was a little bit better. But now it's evolved to this shit is in your pocket all the time if you want it to be.
For sure. And whichever way the market's moving, I can bet in that direction. And it's very intoxicating and can be very time consuming. I mean, I've done well these past couple of years, and even since like the bear market kind of came upon us the last 5 to 6 months, I've been doing well. But you can't always bat 100% of the time. Win 100% of the time, and there's things to focus on. And I see some of the chat saying, I know you don't want me to read the chat, but they've been saying, imagine the life this dude could have if he cashed out the money and didn't waste his time, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
I know that's what everyone has in the back of their mind. That's why I have in the back of my mind is like if you have, because here's the thing, I don't know a lot about how investment works, but I know that if you have $3 million and you give it to the right fucking dude or whatever the fuck and put it in the right whatever, you could probably, I don't know how old you are. I'm completely talking out of my ass with no numbers at all, but you could probably do something safe with it. And like you still wouldn't have to work anymore because you could probably put it in a place that makes it, regenerate. So you could cash out and be cool.
Yeah, I could do less risky things, and with the majority of that, I'm just what's called staking the majority of that and earning an interest that pays out daily in a less risk averse, in a non-risky manner. But I still have about 1 million of it on the table, so to speak.
Okay, so to me, if you have $3 million and $2 million of it, you're keeping it in a safe place, and $1 million of it, you're like, let's fucking party, baby.
Yeah. Maybe I have evolved a little bit.
I would, that's why I think your therapist is telling you that you've evolved, because to me that seems like an evolved position to be in. Because I've heard from people, not like people personally, but people I follow on the internet and shit who like have been gambling addicts and whatnot. I think at their lowest, they're not doing that. They're like, yo, fuck it. Put it all on black. Roll the roulette. Who gives a shit type of... I mean, that's the really concerning place to be in. You sound like you sound like maybe at one point you were there, but you've evolved.
There was a live stream yesterday where Drake, the rapper Drake lost $20 million in 45 minutes in front of his, 50,000 people on Twitch or whatever. It's like that's the worst example for people watching to see people just punt away money like that.
But he has $100 million, doesn't he? And so if he loses if you have $100 million and you lose $20 million, you kind of like I
don't know how much he has, but you can't afford to gamble away money like that. Even if you're Elon Musk, you don't want to be punting away $20 million every 5 minutes like that. Like he literally in an hour punted like 20 or 30 million. Actually, I think it was.
See, you've evolved. You're Drake's point of reason.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting to me. It's weird that your therapy. I love that I do this all the time with people where they come to me with like issues that are totally worthy of real therapy, and they have been to real therapy, and they kind of break down what their experience was talking about this issue in real therapy. And it's funny to me that your therapist is talking to you about the markets. I mean, they don't tell you anything. I mean, this is classic like addiction behavior that there's a billion people trained to deal with this, and I wonder what the training is.
No, he challenges me. He's a good therapist. He challenges me as much as he can. But by the end of a 1 hour session, we have one a week now. We used to until recently had 2 a week. By the end of the session, I have him talking about the markets. I guess that's just me more than him. But what we definitely try to address my real issues and real things going on.
Well, I'm also gonna kind of repeat what your therapist said, and I know that you sounds like when you first said that your therapist said this to you, you took it not you didn't maybe believe him or whatever it was, but from the way you're talking about these things, it does sound like you have evolved. It obviously doesn't sound like you are like completely cured of your issue. I don't know because I'm not an addiction person. I don't know anything about that shit. Like, what I'm not going to comment on whether or not you are quote curable or whatever the fuck, but you have evolved objectively. If we're looking at a chart, you have evolved. You are on an upward trajectory. So I understand why he's saying that, and I don't think that you should disregard him saying that, because it's true. You have evolved. And man, I hope that can I ask, before we go, moving forward, what is it that you want out of life? I'm curious.
I don't know. I think about that question often. I contemplate it often. I would say, objectively, the simple answer is just to be happy and content, and to strive for those things, even when day in, day out. So, no matter where one is, there's always a good reason to cry about things or not be content. But I think regardless of my situation, just work on being content and living life with some balance. I think that's it. I don't have too much of like a tall wish list other than that.
I think that's a perfectly good wish list.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it, Lyle. Thank you, Gecko. Sure,
Max,
Gecko.
anything you want to say to the people at the computer before we go?
No, just good things. Good things to everyone here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for calling, Max.
All right, take care.
Hello?
Hello, hey, is this Gecko?
Yeah, is this Quentin?
Yeah, it is. What's going on, man?
Quentin. Nothing much, just being a gecko on the computer. What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just being a man in the woods in a tent.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. Can you tell me what's going on?
So it started. I was living with my parents. I'm 22 years old. They let me live with them because I originally got kicked out from my dad in 2018 as soon as I graduated high school, and they let me move in with them. And then I stole a dab cart from them, and then they caught me in the act, and then they kicked me out. Now I'm in the woods in a tent, and things are yeah.
So you were living with your parents, and you stole a dab cart from them. They kicked you out. Now you're living in a tent in the woods.
Correct.
How long have you been living in the tent in the woods for?
About 2 weeks now.
2 weeks, okay. And
Yeah.
I have a bunch of questions for you. How have those 2 weeks been?
Interesting. I've gotten a job to somewhat fill the meantime, the free time I have. It's been hard, mentally and like physically. It's been hot. It's been raining, like it just finished raining. I've learned a lot about myself, it's the isolation. It's new to me. I'm used to having people around me. I still have, how many friends right now, and how many I can talk to. Yeah.
Man, there's a few things about this. Well, you're in New Jersey. I guess it's June, so you're fine for now. Because I was gonna say in New Jersey, it's not like you live in the West Coast where it's sunny all the time. New Jersey, you've got the summer, and then after that, you cannot be living in a tent in the woods.
Right. That's why I got this job. Hopefully that it'll help me get back on my feet.
So it says that you've been learning a lot about yourself through the isolation. Is that true?
Yeah.
What have you learned?
I learned how much I really do like talking to people and the company of other people. I've learned that I get a lot of my personality from like being around other people, and I'm not the same person. You become who you are, who you surround yourself with. If that made any sense. Sorry, yeah.
No, that makes a ton of sense. It's interesting to hear you say that because I feel like I've talked to people who say things like, "Oh, I went into isolation and I learned something." And a lot of the times, it's a lot about like, learning about themselves when they're alone, but and this kind of is that, but you're only with only what I'm saying is with the absence of other people, you then are learning about the importance to you of being around other people, which you only can learn when they're gone, because when they're there, you don't notice what it's like when they're gone, so you don't notice how valuable it is.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome that, because this is not a great situation for you to be in, and I think it's awesome that you're using it as a way of learning more about yourself and gathering some form of value from what is not a great situation.
Right. Yeah. That's it's. I mean, I've had people offer me, like, hey, you want to come do some meth and all that, but like, it's not really what not the path I want to take. I want to get back. I want to get myself a place. I want to be a contributing member of society.
What does being a contributing member of society look like to you?
Just someone who can, who has their own thing, whether it's an apartment, a car. Like right now, I can't even get like a car right now or any of that because I have my license suspended and I have to pay however much to get that back. And there's the whole, But
how long do you plan to be out here for? Do you have a sort of game plan moving forward of how you're going to get out of the woods?
So far, my main thing I've been looking into is buying like a, like a trailer, like a camper, and like staying at a full, like an all-season campground or something like that with like electric and plumbing and all that. I feel like that's probably a good option. I was looking into motels and hotels, but they're real dirty and they cost a lot. Those are more of a luxury, which I never really realized. But I'm also learning I have to sacrifice the things that I want versus the things I need. Yeah.
What types of things that you want are you having to sacrifice?
Like nicotine, like smoking cigarettes, weed, alcohol. I mean, just the leisure things, getting like snacks every time I go to the store, something like that.
Okay, so you said that you find it very important to be around other people, and that's something that you're learning in this isolation, being out here in the woods. What is your social life like right now? Are you hanging out with other people? Are you finding opportunities to be around people, or are you focusing on yourself right now?
So far, I think I'm mainly focusing on myself. I haven't really had the urge currently to go out and, because I just want to make sure I can get myself back on my feet before I start worrying about, other people or, I understand that I should do things that are fun and, go out and do things that keep me happy, but it's also it's like another sacrifice I have to make.
Yeah.
To be able to do those things.
Forgive me if I asked you this already or if I interrupted with a different question, but do you have a sort of game plan in your mind as to what you're going to do moving forward?
Yeah, like I was saying, I mean, the trailer, besides that, getting a trailer, I want to get a possible apartment. Also, I was thinking military as an option, like the Army or something, because, they give you food, all that, and you get a pension. You stay in for however many years, you get a bonus, and all different things. So, that's a good way to look. But
did you say already what your job is now?
I work on a farm.
Work on a farm. Okay. How do you like that?
Yeah, like a vegetable farm. I like it because I'm not always doing the same thing over and over. It's not real repetitive. I have ADHD, so like staying in one spot doing the same thing over and over just kills me. So it's nice.
If you could do anything at all, what would you do?
Anything as it? Could you elaborate on that?
I guess I meant, primarily for a living, or I guess not even for a living.
Okay,
like if you could design your life in any way, shape, or form, how would you design it?
Man, that's a deep question. I mean, just owning my own business and
Yeah.
just having a family, just having a house I own, and being able to support myself and my family and my kids. That's really what I want in life.
I ask you that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I wasn't sure if that's exactly what you're asking, but I mean, that's what came
No. I guess I asked you that because, man, look, we haven't been talking for that long. It's only been 8 minutes, but I can kind of tell that you have I can tell you got like a good head on your shoulders about all this shit. I mean, you're in a very tough situation, and again, we've only been talking for that, for so long, but you seem very level-headed about it all. And you mentioned you were like, these people are trying to like, get me to do meth with them and whatnot, but I don't want to do that path. And you seem like you're very focused on how to move forward, and you have like tangible plans, and you're really thinking about things, and you're I don't know, you seem like you have a good head about all this stuff, and I'm very impressed with it. And the reason I asked you about why if you could design your life in any way it could be is because you have a good mindset about things, and you're very young, and I do believe, and and your answer to the question of if you could design your life in any way, it wasn't fucking crazy. It was like, I want to have a family, and I want to be successful and financially well off, and you're a young guy, and you got a good head on your shoulders. So I genuinely do believe that I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think you'll get there if you keep acting conscientiously. That's a good word that I would use for the situation, because you seem like you're a conscientious person. You're thinking about the next day. You're thinking about all the options available to you. You're thinking about the pitfalls that you're trying to avoid going into. So I wouldn't even put this in like some weird like, oh, you're gonna bootstrap it to success kind of thing, but you're just like, very in a slowly, methodically, daily, conscientious way acting about your life. And I think that you'll get to wherever you want to if you keep doing that every day.
No, I appreciate it. This call is honestly, I feel like it's helped me a lot. Able to get stuff off my shoulders, and get it off my chest and have someone to talk to. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing all this stuff with us, man. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people of the computer before we go?
Everybody use your Twitch Primes. Check out the Therapy Gecko podcast. That's it.
God. Quentin, thank you, dog, and very much good luck to you.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Take care. I meant what I said to that guy. Very conscientious sort of thinker, and we, I try not to make judgments of people in any way, shape, or form after only being on the phone with them for not too long. But I felt that from him, and he seemed like I know he's in a shitty situation, but you didn't get the sense that you're so worried about him because he's I feel like he's on a good path forward. I could just tell from the way he was like talking about shit. And I wish him good luck. I hate that he has to go live in the tent in the woods, but it was just little things. Like, he had answers to my questions about what he wants to do moving forward and how he was thinking about his life outside of this, and he's trying to gain wisdom from his situation, which says a lot about who he is. And I liked that guy, and I think he's going to be okay, and I hope he's going to be okay. Thank you for calling, Quentin. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. What's your life like?
Pretty boring now.
Pretty boring now. Why is it boring?
I had a pretty crazy life like a couple of years ago, and then as like when crazy things happen, you kind of get depressed, and then I got on medication, and now it's just boring.
Well, listen. Let's take a step back here. When you say you had a crazy life 2 years ago, what are we talking here?
I moved to California and did porn.
Interesting. How old were you when this happened?
19. I'm 26 now, so it was like 5 years ago.
Okay. So you moved to California to do porn when you were 19, and what inspired that decision?
So I had a cat, and the cat got killed by my roommate's dog in front of me, and then I kind of had a breakdown, and I got a call, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do porn?" And I was like, I guess so. And then they flew me to California.
Okay, so I have a few questions here. What you said, I have a few questions about everything you just said. Okay, first of all, you said that you got a call and they were like, "Do you want to do porn?" What do you mean you got like you got a call from a random phone number and the person on the other line was just like, "Do you want to do porn?" How does that work?
So yeah, this roommate kind of impacted my life in a lot of ways. She was on a dating site, and she was talking to this guy, and he asked her if she wanted to do nude modeling, but she was like, "No, I have a roommate who might though," and she gave him my number. And then I was at work, and I got this call on my break, and they were like, "Hey, we heard you might be interested in this," and it turns out it was porn, not just nude modeling.
Mm-hmm. So your roommate gave this person your phone number without your knowledge?
Yeah.
Were you upset about that?
No. I guess because she knew I was like spiraling out of control. Like I had tried to do stripping like a week before, but I didn't like it, so I like ran out. But yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
So how, because I feel like you wouldn't have mentioned it if it wasn't, how is you seeing your cat being killed related to you taking the call to do porn?
Because I kind of just gave up. It was like, I don't know. I think it definitely like triggered a manic episode or something. And I was just going crazy after that.
Had you had any interest in doing porn beforehand, or was it just a totally brand new thing that presented itself to you and you just said fuck it and went to go do it?
Yeah, no, it was random. It was very random. I was working at a grocery store, and then yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you were working at where did you move from?
Colorado.
And you just on a whim, did you move to California immediately, or did you just sort of take a flight out there as like kind of a test run first?
It was like, yeah, it was just like a test run. I was through an agency who the guy was like a talent scout for a porn agency. And they paid for my flight out there. They paid for my like testing, like STD testing, and then yeah, they flew me out there, and I lived in what was called a model house, which was basically just the agent's house, and he had all these girls living there with him. And it was like a month that I was out there.
Okay, so you were out there for just a month.
And
at first, what was?
And then I went back.
What was that first month like?
It was like a daze. Like I don't even know what was happening. I don't know. I grew up really, really religious and like kind of like sheltered, And then all of a sudden I was in this whole new world with like these crazy people. And like, I don't know, it was weird.
With these crazy people, did you meet anybody, maybe the other girls or anything like that, who you felt like you did form any genuine relationships with?
There was a couple that I formed like pretty good relationships with, but there was not really anything outside of like our work that we like talked about or anything. I don't know. You kind of like, a lot of people kind of like to keep like their private lives private in that industry.
Right.
So we didn't really even know each other's real names.
Interesting. So you went by a stage name.
Mm-hmm.
And how long were you out there shooting porn for?
I did it for like a year and a half. I left. So this was in 2015 that I went out there, and then I left like the industry in like 2017. And then I was doing like nude modeling, and then I was doing professional cuddling, and then I just went back home. So I was in California for a while, just like selling myself, I guess.
Professional cuddling, is that the thing where like people can just hire you to cuddle them?
Yeah. Yeah,
What
that
was
was a
that
whole
like?
different weird thing. Yeah. Did you say what was that like?
Yeah.
It was all right. I don't know. I think there's good customers and uncomfy customers, you know.
What would an interaction with an uncomfortable customer be like, if you don't mind me asking?
They just like they, and like, you should have just hired a prostitute, you know, like they just try to get away with stuff.
Sure.
Like, why are you even on this website? Go to a different website.
Mm-hmm. So you did cuddling, you did nude modeling, and you did actual porn. And this was for, you said the whole, all in all, about a year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
What was your kind of like day-to-day life? Like, give me an average day in this year and a half of yours.
It depended like what my job was. I guess like during porn, like I would only do like a couple shoots a week during like the porn, but that was like every week for a year. You'd like wake up, and then I didn't have a car, so I had the agency had a driver, and they would drive me to some random house, and then they would like do my makeup, and then you would meet the person that you're shooting with and be like, hey, what's up? And then you show each other your tests. And then they do the shoot, and then you say, okay, bye everybody, and then you go home and relax. I don't know, it's like a regular work day.
Sure. So this year and a half, I mean, this was about 5 years ago that you were doing all this stuff. And now that you've had a lot of time to sort of think about it in a retrospective, what are your feelings about this year and a half?
I kind of wish I didn't do it.
Why is that?
Because it was such a short amount of time that it didn't really like, I didn't like save enough money to like invest or anything, or I don't know. It didn't really positively impact my life, but it definitely negatively did. Like with like having bad feelings towards sex now, and not that anything happened to me in porn, but because I was in that headspace in California of like nothing really matters, I definitely put myself in bad situations. And also like my family, I live with my family now, and like everything's fine, but there's part of me that's like, oh, like, you know, and I know that I was there, and like, I don't know.
So did this have some sort of adverse effect on your relationship with your family?
I already kind of had a bad relationship with them. They kicked me out when I was 18 for smoking weed. And I think I kind of like broke them. Like that's what my mom says, that I like broke my dad. And then now they're all nice to me. So I guess it kind of helped. Like they were like, well,
so wait, so when you say you broke them, you're meaning that almost in like in a positive way, like we can't stay mad at you for these things, and
right,
we forgive you, come on over here type of way.
Yeah, they call me like the prodigal child because they're super religious, so they're like, oh, you came back from your wayward ways, and now we can all love each other, and like ugh.
That's interesting though, that you had a strained relationship with them. And they kicked you out, and obviously I'm sure that their religious background and the stuff you were doing out there didn't mix super well, and probably caused some conflict. But it's interesting to me now that you now live with them, and it sounds like you do you have to this day a good relationship with them?
Yeah, it's all right. It's like I can't be like fooling myself, but like I'm glad that I do have a relationship with them.
Can I ask, because you alluded to this a little bit, but how did your brief porn career affect your sort of relationship and feelings about sex in general?
It made it very transactional, I think. And like pretty impersonal. I don't know. And then like when people find out about that, then they just want to like take advantage of you. They're like, oh, she's really easy then, and then like that's all they really think about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do those feelings of do those feelings that you just expressed, do you feel that way today with it being 5 years ago?
Not as much. I'm working on it. I don't know. It definitely is pretty difficult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At the end of the year and a half, what was it that kind of broke the camel's back and made you decide to go back home?
I was severely depressed and anxious. Like, some stuff happened, not in porn, but like when I know you're not a therapist. I'm sorry. It just, I had a traumatic experience with sex, and I was just, I couldn't even get out of bed. So I was like, maybe I need to go home. I can't take care of myself anymore. So, yeah.
Have you talked to a real therapist about all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on medication too. And
what kinds of things do they tell you in response to all this to try to help you work through it?
It's just a lot of listening. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I think they just want me to talk about it, to like get it out. It's just like time heals things, I guess. I don't know. And they wanted me to have a good relationship with my parents. I was seeing therapists in California too, and that was a big part of it. Of like my pain was just like whenever I talk about my mom or my dad, I just start crying and stuff. So I don't know. I'm working on it. It's getting better. I didn't really mean to talk about all this. Sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry. I mean, I apologized if I went down a line of questions. I mean, like, how do you feel like right now talking about it?
It's okay. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. Because yeah, I mean, I know you said that your real therapist, they kind of just get you to try to talk about it, and that's kind of, you know, what I've been doing on this phone call is just you know, asking you questions about it. But I don't know if that is helpful to you. I mean, I'm not a real therapist. I'm an idiot in a gecko costume, so I don't know if that's helpful to you or if it feels bad to talk about all that stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just don't talk about it a lot. So I think, like, it's just with my therapist. So it's kind of interesting talking to another person.
What's your name again? Or you can give me a totally fake name that is...
My name's Alexis.
Alexis. Well, Alexis, thank you for sharing all of this with us. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people of the computer or to a gecko before we go?
I hope you have a nice time in Guatemala.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Good luck to you, Alexis.
They have a really cool...
No, go ahead.
They have a really pretty green bird there called a quetzal or a quetzal.
A quetzal. I don't know what I made some fucking graphic for some job that I worked that involved a quetzal. I haven't thought about quetzals since just now.
I hope you see one.
I hope I see one too. Thank you for wishing that upon me. I'm glad to hear that your relationship is getting better with your parents, and I'm glad to hear that it sounds like even though things in the past have been kind of rocky, it at least sounds to me from, you know, the 15 minutes we've been on the phone that things are on an upward trajectory. So I'm happy for you about that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. I'm okay. I'm working on things. It's been a while, so thank you.
Of course. Thank you for calling, Alexis.
Bye.
That was Alexis. That was that was interesting because I mean, that's all I really do on here is talk to people about stuff. And I've had a lot of people say that just talking about things helps them, but I don't know. I'm not an actual therapist. I am, as I said, an idiot in a gecko costume. So I don't know if talking about things is helpful for people or if it is traumatic for people. So I don't know. But what did you say her name was? Alexis? It sounded like things were on an upward trajectory for her. I did find it very interesting that her relationship with her parents got better after a while. Because I've talked to a lot of people on here who came from weird religious backgrounds, and some of them have kind of repaired their relationship with their parents, but a lot of them just kind of are cast it away. So I'm glad to hear that at least in that department things are going a little bit better for Alexis. Thanks for calling, man. Hello?
Hello?
Hey.
Hello? Hey.
What's your name?
Briar.
What's going on with you, Bri?
Not much. I'm on the side of the highway driving from Boston to Nashville.
You're on the side of the highway driving from Boston to Nashville. What's going on in Nashville that they don't have in Boston?
I live in Nashville. My friend just graduated from law school in Boston. And so that graduation was yesterday. So right now I'm heading back. I'm spending the night in West Virginia with my friend. It's a long drive.
What is it you would like to talk about today, Brian?
So I have these dreams, I guess you could say. And it's something that I've never really found anybody else that related. And I just thought I would share it because it's an interesting experience. All right. have you ever had a dream or dreams where you're in a place that seems familiar, but you know you don't know it in your real life, but it might be just like, oh, a dream house?
I'm familiar with that.
I don't know if you remember your dreams. Yeah. And okay, and then like recurring dreams, right? So I have this place that I often go to in my dreams, and I kind of wake up and I'm a different person. And for the past 10 years, I've been going to this place that's not just a house. There's a cabin in the woods. There's a whole city. There's even like a government facility. You know, it's expansive. And probably over the last 10 to 12 years, over time, I've realized that this is all the same place. But instead of it being a recurring dream, the timeline is continuous. So it's like I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up in this other person's reality, and I'll, come back to my life. And the next week, I think a week will have passed in that world. The place, I think, is called Cascada. So I'll have a Cascada dream, and, I've built relationships. There's so many things that have gone on over the last 10 years.
Give me an example of a person whose body you've woken up in, and what was their life like?
It's the same person every time.
Okay, so it's the same person over the
and-
course of 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about this person.
And, well, Harper is kind of a loner, so she lives in the city, but her family has this cabin that's, so I know it's in the northeast of the United States. I just geographically know that. It's on the water. But there's this town, like a port town kind of thing. And then my family has a cabin in the woods. So I spend a lot of time there, but I don't think other people know about it. And essentially, I'm just kind of wandering around, going on a walk through the woods away from town, and I come across this facility, big series of buildings. So over the course of the next 2 years, I figure out a way to sneak in there, or Harper does. And so she is trying to figure out what's going on. She sees that there's this whole experiments kind of thing going on people. Tries to figure out what that is, and it kind of unveils this whole, conspiracy. So then, she's a go-getter. She tries to make friends up in the government system with the people, prisoners. I don't even know what to call them. And then I start to try to tell people in the city about what's happening.
Do you believe this is a real person?
If I'm being completely honest, it kind of feels like I'm waking up in another dimension, and I might have some string theory, alternate dimension link somehow. But that is also a crazy pants theory, and it's just the only way I've been able to wrap my mind around how insane it is to have a consistent dreamscape, I don't even know, experience of consciousness of this other person for years.
So tell me,
I don't know.
Who all have you told about this?
Not many people. Close friends know about it. I've told, sometimes I'll get drunk at a party and I'll start talking about it, but it's really hard to not come across I don't know. I don't want to feel judged about it because I know it's really weird, and so I don't talk about it that much. That's why I thought it might be safe to call in and talk about it. I don't know.
This is interesting. When I saw the notes that the call screener wrote down. It said that you wake up in another person's body, but I didn't realize that it was the same person for 15 years. Do they look like you?
They have no. I can tell they're taller. I think I'm 5'7", 5'8", and I'm really flat. It almost it took me a long time. I'm still honestly not 100% if I'm a guy or a girl. But I know I have kind of a boyish body type, and I know I have short brown hair, pixie-ish style.
Are you talking about yourself, or are you talking about Harper?
No, Harper. I'm 5'2", blonde, and not. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not sure if Harper is a guy or a girl.
I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl. I feel like I would be really aware if I had a penis, but So that's what makes me think girl. And there's also some like romantic feelings towards some guys vaguely, but that also doesn't necessarily mean anything. I don't know.
So you
there's so
as
many other things to
Harper.
figure out.
So take it slow with me. So you as Harper will like have like crushes and romantic feelings on other people in the dream.
Oh yeah, so there's like two of my guy, I guess like one's a friend and another is like a co-conspirator, I guess you could say. The curious thing that I've also just noticed and over the past years and years is that romance isn't really a thing in this city, at least. So I'm always caught really off guard by these feelings.
And you have a totally different family in this, correct?
Yeah, so I'm actually pretty sure I'm in a like orphan-ish situation. I don't have parents. I have relatives, but I don't ever interact with them. And I think the reason I'm even at this cabin sometimes, because I always thought, like, why is she not at school? Still don't have the answer to that. But
okay, how old is she? Tell us that real quick. Is she a child?
No, she was 14 or 15 when I first started having the dreams. So she's like, 25, 24, 25 now-ish, mid-20s. Yeah. So she was a teenager when she started this, but now, adult. She's built a network of, like, kind of like insurrection people to try and see what's going on. But, like, 6 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, a volcano happened, and it really affected everything.
A volcano happened,
so,
and it affected everything.
So, yeah. I had a couple dreams. And usually I had a couple dreams about this volcano, and they were kind of vague. And it wasn't until I had 3 in a row Harper dreams I realized I've always known that like a couple miles out, maybe I don't know ocean stuff. There's an island, and I've always been curious about the island. People never go there, and the island was a volcano, and the volcano exploded. So basically, what I'm figuring we're at present day right now is what's happening in Cascada is Harper is now had this communication system underground with all these people, some in the camp, some in the city, some in the forest in their secret meeting place. She's essentially trying to regroup, figure out who's alive, if anyone's alive, and see how this affected all the plan. I mean, everything just changed. So I'm trying to essentially find my crew, but it's scary because like thousands of people just died. so Cascada, is that the name of the place where Harper is? Yeah, it's the name at least of the city. I think it's like the region, but I've just looked and I've seen. Is it a
real location?
And on planet Earth, yeah, I think it's somewhere in the northeast. Like, I want to say maybe New York area, but not New York City, but somewhere else around the coast, which is weird because I've never lived there, been there very infrequently, but I know it's
volcano, and so a volcano erupted and completely destroyed where she lives.
So the volcano is far enough away that it's not like Pompeii, right? But it's enough that it's decimated. Essentially, you would have had to evacuate in a timely manner to not die.
And so now every time that you go to sleep, you continue the storyline that was going in the previous dream. And you've been continuing this sort of storyline for 15 years.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to a psych about this?
I like mentioned it to my therapist, but it's not really anything that's like causing. I don't know. It's nothing really to work through. It's just kind of interesting. So
Well, yeah, I'm not.
more on things that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a negative thing,
right?
but it doesn't seem like a negative thing, but I feel like it'd be interesting to like. I mean, I'm curious about why. I'm sure you're fucking curious about why. So it could be kind of interesting. Not even like, I need help with this, but just like, hey, do we know what the fuck any of this means?
Right. I don't wonder if a psychologist, if you would know about that. Like, I don't know if I have to go to, if there's somebody specific. I looked into astral projection, like communities on Reddit and stuff. That's the closest thing I found. But it's not that either. It's just something way weird and different. Actually, I kind of want to write a book about it,
It could be kind of an interesting book, actually. I think there is something to be done
world building
creatively. Yeah, there is something to be done creatively with this. I think that would be a good sort of bottle to capture it all in. So you've kind of explained what's going on with you, and you've explained this girl, and you've explained this world, but to kind of add on to you saying, to pick up that conversation of you saying that this is not a negative thing, how do you feel about this? How does it affect your life and your thoughts?
I feel like it's kind of like a gift. It's almost like if you're in a video game and you just like randomly get an extra ability or something, There's no big benefit to it necessarily, but it enriches my life, I think, and I look forward to the nights when I have those dreams, and I just think it's fascinating. I actually was able to get to do it meditatively one time. I got really into meditation, and that was
you did
wild.
It while you were awake.
And after that, it was, but I was like, I don't know. I did the astral projection meditation. I tried to do that stuff for a while, and I never did the actual projection like that. But I did. I don't know if I could have been doing it and like sort of fallen asleep. All I know is I was meditating, and then I was like not really aware of what was going on. And I was in Cascada. When I woke up, I was like, I did it. But after that, it was hard to go back. I didn't have a Cascada dream for like 2 months. So
tell us.
So I just kind of let it happen naturally.
What is your favorite memory from Cascada?
Oh, I was just thinking about that earlier today. Okay, I think my favorite memory is the beaches are really interesting. So there's this one beach in particular that I love to go to. And you go down these woods, these stone stairs, and there's sand, but there's also all these like kind of like salt licks, I guess. So the sand is really, really white, and then you see like the rock faces almost look like, that white, I don't know what that stuff is called. It's like sparkly white, grandy looking stuff, or salt, I don't even know. But the salt stuff like floats, and so people will like go on like little saltbergs. And so I remember I was on this raft with this kid and his dad, and they were fishing. And then this huge, like 6-foot yellow, crazy looking fish hops up on there, and I almost lose my footing and fall in. And the dad's like, "You might want to step off. We're going to be catching a lot today." So I like hopped along, and I like stepped in the water, I remember, and it's like okay, but it was like really squishy, and I was like, oh. And so then I hopped back up, and then I just sat and I watched the little boy and his dad fish, and then the sunset. And then, yeah, that was just a really pleasant, more mundane memory I have from Cascada. It was really nice.
This is like a Miyazaki movie or something.
Yeah, that's a nice way to think about it. I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. This is a super, super interesting thing. I'm glad that you have a good relationship with it too. It seems like it's something that enriches your life to kind of transport to like a fantasy world where you're a different person.
Exactly. I feel like related to like, I was like, I wonder if J.R.R. Tolkien felt this way when writing Lord of the Rings. He was so goofy, but
when you
crazy built worlds and novels.
Right, I really wouldn't be surprised if some of these people who have built like such dense universes have had parts of it come to them in dreams.
I'm so curious. Or like or whatever Harry Potter lady, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Some of these really fantastical worlds, only now that I'm having this experience, I'm kind of like seeing these worlds. I'm like, I wonder. There's no way to know, but it's kind of interesting.
No, there's no way that Dobby was a thought of the
kinda
conscious mind.
Exactly. And I'll have these like fantastical things, like, I don't know, little iceberg things. Just the smallest details, or like the way technology works. It's similar, but it's definitely different. And it's curious just how things are different in the most subtle, tiny details.
Briar, I do hope that, like I said, I think it's cool that you have such a positive relationship with this thing. It's very fascinating. I'm glad that I felt like at the beginning I didn't really it definitely was hard to explain.
It's a lot.
But now that we're at the end of this thing, I feel like I get it a bit more now, and I find it fascinating. I do hope that you find a container for it creatively in some way. I mean, it says you're only 26 years old.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say if you've been dreaming like this for 15 years. It sounds like you have. It doesn't sound like it's going away anytime soon. So very curious to see how this whole thing develops as you get older. There might be more inspiration to come.
That's what I'm thinking. So keep your eye out for Cascada books. And also, just honestly, thank you so much for taking the time to allow me to explain it all, because I know it's a lot, and that's why I don't really talk to many people about it. But it feels so nice to share that because it's fun, and I also know people call in for like advice and stuff. So, but I thought you would be interested. So. Oh
no, this was perfect. This was very interesting, and no, I'm glad I did too. No, you're totally right. Off the bat, a little dense. But now that we have the time to get into it, I'm glad that we did.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Briar.
Light.
Huh. That was very interesting. I'm glad that, a lot of the times when people have, like, I don't know, stuff like that, they like we had this guy on the podcast, who called in to talk about getting abducted by aliens, and it seemed like mostly a negative, traumatic thing for him. But it was very fascinating to kind of hear the other side of the coin with this caller who looks at it as a gift. I think she said that it's a gift, that she gets to go to sleep and occasionally transport herself into this fantasy world in which her unconscious mind is revealing all these magical experiences for her. It sounds kind of beautiful. I really did. I got the like a Miyazaki kind of vibe from it, especially when she was talking about, being by the water and this giant monstrous fish and whatnot. Because we all engage in escapism. We all, that's why, Harry Potter and shit exists, is because we want to, humans enjoy entering into other universes, taking a break from their own. And I do understand why she sees it as a gift, because it's that this Cascade place, it's all hers. It's a product of her own unconscious mind in a way that, like, you can't own Hogwarts. That belongs to everybody, but she has her own fantasy world that just belongs to her. And I asked her if she's talked to a psych about it, and she did say that it's not a thing that's negatively affecting her life. And we talked for about 20 minutes, and I didn't get the sense that it was a negative. I didn't get any even tinge of a sense that it was a negative thing. on her life. But I do wonder what that is. She says it's called, like, if you guys want to look up this thing, she says it's called, what is it again? Astral something? Ah, fuck it. I lost it. But I think it's astral projection. Some shit like that. But that was super interesting to hear about. I hope that I hope we do hear more about Cascade in the future in the form of a novel, an audio tape, a comic book, a concept, music album, whatever it is. Thank you for sharing, Briar. What's it's not astral projection? Oh, okay. I fucked up. I was wrong. That's actually the first time I have ever been wrong on this podcast. You're all witnessing history, folks. The very first time ever that I have been wrong. Possibly in my whole life. What an honor it is for you all to witness. Okay, someone said no. All right, somebody said it's not astral projection, and then right under them, someone said no, it is astral projection. So I have no idea. Someone says, I'm looking it up. I have a computer. Astro Glide. Oh, this says it's a company. This says it's lube. Are you guys fucking with me? I'm done with this. Astral projection. Oh, yes, okay. Fuck whoever, okay. A couple things. I was not wrong. This is not the first time I've ever been wrong. It is called astral projection. Okay. Holy shit, this is real. Oh, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. Astral projection. Astral projection is a term used to describe an intentional out-of-body experience that assumes the existence of a subtle body called an astral body, through which consciousness can function separately from the physical body and travel throughout the astral plane. Dude, what the fuck is this? Is crazy. The astral body is a subtle body. What the fuck? Is anyone else looking at this right now? This is nuts. Is this real? Oh, apparently it's called... okay, hold on. I'm looking up asshole projection. Apparently that... Okay, I was wrong. Apparently it's called asshole... Okay, I'm going to Google asshole projection. I'm going to see what comes up. I'm actually going to do this. Rectal prolapse is a medical condition in which the rectum starts to push through the anus. My name is Lyle, and I'm a gecko. And this has been Therapy Gecko.